Let's see.
What's the name of your show?
Reverend J Self-Care Station.
Works.
Yeah.
And it's
All
a
about
station,
self-care,
huh?
and that's what authenticity, huh?
It's a station, not just a
Yes.
show. It's a station.
Well, it will be,
Okay.
because eventually, because I know eventually Jamal gonna leave me.
Been around too long.
Running a station is very different.
Yeah, I'm sure it's.
Yeah. I can. We could talk about that. It's running a station is not for everyone. Doing a show
Oh.
is different.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. You know what? Can you all hear all this background stuff?
I
No.
don't hear.
So you don't hear anything extra?
I hear kid stuff upstairs. That's all I hear.
Okay.
No, it sounds good at least going through my mixing board. Okay, I'm about to close my mic. Good talking to you, Norma. I haven't seen
Yeah,
you,
Jamal.
heard from you in years.
That's been a long time.
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. Here we go.
Okay. Can you hear me, Norma? Say
Yes.
something. Let me hear you.
Say something.
Okay.
Can you hear? Okay.
Okay. Greetings, family. Welcome to Reverend J's Self-Care Station. I'm your host, Reverend Jaquetta, and we have changed our purpose, but not our focus. This is still the place where we look at holistic self-care to include the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, cultural, financial, and social, because all those aspects impact our health. We still focus on the 5 pillars of self-care, which are nutritious food, clean water, fresh air, exhilarating exercise, and rejuvenating rest to keep our body temple healthy. But now our purpose is to keep healthy those who help keep us healthy. Your practitioners and pros, we're here to support you. And we've added a business component to our support of you to help you get your business and to support you as you support your clients. So let's get ready to be our best selves in 2026. We always begin by offering libation to honor the shoulders on which we stand. So while you get your water or liquid ready for pouring or drinking, let me say that first we honor the Creator. Ashe. So today, the bridge we're honoring is Dr. Alvin F. Poussaint. Dr. Poussaint was a Haitian American born of immigrants born on May 15, 1934 in East Harlem, New York, to Harriet and Christopher Poussaint. He received his BA from Columbia University in 1956 and his MD degree from Cornell University Medical College in 1960. He took postgraduate training at the UCLA Neuropsychiatric Institute, serving as chief resident in psychiatry in 1964 and 65. At UCLA, he received a master's degree in psychopharmacology. From 1965 to 1967, he was Southern Field Director of the Medical Committee for Human Rights in Jackson, Mississippi, providing medical care to civil rights workers on marches, including the Selma and Meredith marches, and aiding desegregation of hospitals and health facilities throughout the South. He was former chair of the board of directors of Push for Excellence. In 1967, after leaving Mississippi, Dr. Poussaint joined the Tufts Medical School facility as director of a psychiatry program in a low-income housing development. In 1969, he joined Harvard. From 1975 to 78, he was dean of students at Harvard Medical School. He came to prominence by the late 1970s, one of those periodic times when anti-racist endeavors were being challenged by some backlash. At that same time, at Baylor College of Medicine, he and some colleagues developed the first national model educational program for psychiatric residents on cultural psychiatry. Racism was a particular focus, so the work of Dr. Poussaint was a lodestar model to be followed. He had already been involved in two important books which seemed to balance the external obstacles of racism with the responsibility of Black individuals for their own lives, especially to instill pride into Black children. Dr. Poussaint was professor of psychiatry emeritus at Harvard Medical School. He served as faculty associate dean for student affairs at Harvard Medical School from 1969 until his retirement in 2019, and was also the founding director of the Office of Recruitment and Multicultural Affairs. He was instrumental in expanding the enrollment in underrepresented medical students at Harvard Medical School, nearly 1,400 students of color. That's big. Integrating them into the fabric of the school, encouraging and mentoring them during their time at Harvard Medical School, and help them to launch their careers as physicians, many of them in high-level distinguished positions in academic medicine. He was Distinguished Life Fellow of the American Psychiatric Association, a Fellow of American Association for Advancement of Science, a life member of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. This brother was doing it. He received numerous awards and was the recipient of many honorary degrees. He served on the staff of the Judge Baker Children's Center from 1978 to 2010, including serving as director of the Media Center from 1994 to 2010. He was author of Why Blacks Kill Blacks in 1972. He co-authored with Dr. James Comer of Raising Black Children in 1992, and he was co-author with Amy Alexander of Lay My Burden Down in 2000. He wrote more than 100 articles for lay and professional publications. In 1997, he received a New England Emmy Award for Outstanding Children's Specials as co-executive producer of Willoughby's Wonders. Did y'all know that? In 2010, the Association of American Medical Colleges honored him with the Herbert W. Nickens Award, recognizing outstanding contributions promoting justice in medical education and healthcare. Dr. Poussaint was a social commentator on race relations in America, the dynamics of prejudice, and issues of diversity as our society was becoming increasingly multicultural. He lectured widely on college campuses and served as a consultant to governmental and private agencies. In addition, he consulted to the media on a wide range of social issues. And if you were paying attention when you were watching The Cosby Show in A Different World, you may have seen his name as a consultant. He was concerned with media images and issues regarding the needs of children and the changing family. He was a strong proponent of nonviolent parenting and parenting education. Dr. Poussaint was internationally known for his work on race relations as a media consultant on a wide range of social issues. Dr. Poussaint made transition February 24th, 2025 at 90 years of age due to medical complications from a short illness, and he passed peacefully at home in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, with his wife and family at his bedside. And so we honor Dr. Alvin F. Toussaint as one of the bridges that brings us over. Ashe.
Ashe. He was one of my bridges too, because I was in the early childhood. That's what my bachelor's degree is in, and his name is very, very familiar to me. Yes.
Ashe, ashe. Excelente. So he was a good choice for today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you, family, for joining us for our libation and honoring Dr. Toussaint. And I want to introduce our guest for today, Dr. Norma Hollis. Dr. Norma Hollis sent me the shortest bio in the whole wide world, and I'm going to read it and have her give you some more insight into who she is. Dr. Norma Hollis is known for turning chaos into clarity. Whether she's helping executives master decision making, guiding teams in team building, or inspiring professionals to reclaim balance in life, she delivers results with impact. Her insights into trends, change management, and professional development have transformed countless lives and businesses. She is a change agent of her own who writes and implements programs for human development. Her programs assist people to understand and experience the depth and power of their potential. She was the first Black woman to own a speaker bureau for Black speakers, and I was one of the speakers who went through her program. Known as the godmother of authenticity, she now owns a human development company that includes an online school as well as certification programs to prepare coaches and speakers to align their platform for greater success. She sees authenticity not just as a feel good aspiration, but as a business strategy and life management tool. She is a phenomenal coach, speaker, and advisor who can help you create greater success in both your personal and professional life. Welcome, Norma Hollis.
Thank you, Jaquetta. It is such a joy to be here with you on your station, class, call, podcast, radio show, all those things you're calling it. It's been a long time. We've been friends for a long time. I haven't seen you in a long time. So this is just a real joy.
Ashe. Ashe. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And as I was reading your bio and I was looking at what you do with authenticity, I actually taught a class yesterday and I was talking about authenticity, and that's become one of the buzzwords for the last couple years. People are talking about authenticity and being our authentic selves. And you've been doing this authenticity work for, like you said, decades. And so tell us a little bit about how you got into that, because first you had the speakers bureau and you were teaching people to speak from their own experiences. How did authenticity come out of that?
Well, authenticity actually came before the Speaker Bureau. As a matter of fact, I believe that's why I was sent here to planet Earth to do this work with authenticity. It came to a head as far as identifying my direction when I was 28. And that's when when I realized that I had become my parents' version of who they thought a Black woman should be in America. And that meant marry well, have good money, have cars, have a house, that kind of thing. So I had all of that. And I was miserable. And I didn't know what to do with myself because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was working with. They never really acknowledged my family, my personal strengths and gifts, which are multiple, but I never really was made aware of them. I just thought it was just natural, but later on, you get to learn that. So anyway, at 28, once I realized that I didn't know who I was and therefore didn't know what to do with the rest of my life, I decided, let me find out who I am. And I identified 9 energies within myself. And I gave each of them the name of an animal because we all kind of know the difference of a horse versus an owl versus a snail versus a mouse, whatever. We know those energies. We don't know our own energies though, but we know the animal energies. So then I spent the next 30 years putting a name to what I had done. What I did is I put these 9 energies on a rug, in a grid. My hobby is to make rugs. I hand hook rugs. So once I found these 9 energies, I did a little research in astrology, astronomy, numerology, Freud. I was researching a whole bunch of things to figure out the boxes that I use, the 9 dimensions that I came up with these 9 animals, and then I put them in a certain energy pattern and began writing about it, began researching and writing. I ended up writing 9 books, 1 book for each of those 9 dimensions. And when I finished, I had these 9 books and I had the whole thing. I had an assessment and I had a grid, and I had not a clue what it was or what to do with it. I just followed my voice the whole time. And that's what I came up with, right? So then I spent 12 years. At that time, I owned my Black Speaker Bureau, and it was 1996, around that time, the end of the 90s. Internet was just out. And I was one of the first Black women to have a site and certainly the first speaker bureau. So I was soliciting people around the United States to host me in their city. And host me meant find a location and invite some people for me to come talk about speaking, authentic speaking. And I spent a whole day there and ended up going to 20 cities in 18 months and bringing in about 125 people in my program, and it just kept going from there. So it's taken a lot of different paths. Primarily, I've been working with individuals to help them become authentic. I have over 200 video testimonials over the years for the quality of the program and what it does. And when I bring people back on calls like this, we had a summit last year, and I brought back some of my old people, and they all talk about the grid, this authenticity grid. And I've learned that what was channeled through me was a grid whose energy can be used in multiple ways. So now I take authenticity not as just a feel good, being honest, being true, all that, but I look at how does it help a person's business, and how does it really help their personal life? And that's what we're focusing on now, authenticity as a business strategy and authenticity as a life management tool. So that's been the kind of the journey that started, 30, 40 years ago, maybe 40, 50 years ago, almost 50. But and it has, I'm in the process in my new house of making a wall of my life in LA. I was in LA for 46 years. And I had the bureau and so many, you forget, you do what you do. And I had saved documents and stuff, and I had forgotten about a lot of the things that I'd done. But it's just really nice to bring it back. And so now, one of the things that I teach people in my coaching programs is to look at the theme of your life, because everybody's life really has a message, a theme. We're in the middle of that, so we may not see it, but when we can see it, we can do more with it. So when I worked on authenticity for a couple of decades and I looked backwards, I realized that authenticity is something that is in my soul. I could not do it, because what then would I do?
Right.
Because I was sent here to do it. So, and that's authentic for me to do it. Yeah. And I just got to talk about it more. Yeah.
I agree. Now, you talked about the 9 animal energies. Can you share a little more about that and the grid?
Well, the grid, what I learned at 28 is that I had an inner voice that no one heard but me, an outer voice, which is how people perceived me when they saw me, and an expressive voice, which is who I become in the world. At that time, the consciousness of most people in this area of research only dealt with our inner voice and our outer voice. And I was researching that and saw that. I said, but there's more to me than that. It's not just what I'm saying to myself and who I am. It's like, what do I do every day? That's really who I am. That's the real authenticity. And that's the part that I believe we struggle with society, because society doesn't want us to express ourselves. They just want us to be the robotic robots that they teach us to be in school. At least that's how I perceive it. So that's why the three domains I call those verticals are important. And then I have three horizontals, which are think, you're either thinking, communicating, or doing. So if you want to think about a nine-dimension grid, you have inner, outer, expressive on the top, and think, communicate, do on the side, and then 9 boxes that are in all of those. So the top left box is going to be inner voice, think. And my animal for that was an owl. And what I learned when the research is that was intuition, inner voice thinking. And for me, it was an owl, because generally when I'm in my intuitive state, I'm in a state of contemplation. I'm still, I'm listening. And those are characteristics that an owl has frequently. The second one below intuition on my personal grid is Panther. And Panther's about your values and your integrity and what you feel most important about. And values is really how we communicate to the world, a part of who we are, and also the foundation of many relationships, because most relationships that are long lasting is because people share the same values. And those that don't work out, like marriages sometimes, is because you realize you don't have the same value. That's how important it is. So that's integrity. And in on the grid, it's integrity. On my personal one, it was a Panther. And it was a Panther because at that time, I was working with early childhood programs directing Head Start. And don't mess with my kids, okay? Or anybody else's kids either. That Panther would come out, hey, you got that right. No, 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 no. So, and then the third one down, which is on the inner voice, which is the do, the action part, is how do you inspire yourself? How are you inspired to act on what your intuition is telling you? How are you inspired to act on your values? And I used inspiration versus motivation because motivation comes from the outside in. And we wanted to come from the inside and bring it out. This was when I owned my bureau, and almost every person that came to me, I'm going to be the next best motivational speaker. And I would talk to them about, well, are you sure you're not inspirational? Because inspirational is really where it's at, because then you're making the change on the inside of the person. So those were the first three. Some of the other animals I had a queen bee. That was, I think, in my health, my net wellness. I had a tarantula in the middle of the grid, and that the middle of the grid was is network, and that's your quality and quantity network. Quality meaning people who know you and you can trust, you can get their honest opinion when you ask them something. And quantity, because when you go traveling, you might need something. And it's nice if you have some quantity people that know you, or even just one of them. It's a part of your quantity network. Not a best friend, but someone you can call for some advice. And then the third one there, that's the action, is net wealth, which in our society, all around the world, net wealth to people means money. And under authenticity, it means joy and abundance. When I had my bureau, I met a lot of popular speakers whose names you would know, who were great on stage, but they had tons of money, but they weren't joyful. They weren't happy with their lives. Yeah, so that came across clearly. And then on the expressive side, the think part is your gifts and talents. We talk about legacy. It's called legacy. We talk about legacy as what we leave to our heirs. From an authenticity perspective, legacy is what are your gifts and talents, and how do you use them on the planet? Actually, that top line of think are all things you're born with. For the inner voice, intuition, you're born with a sixth sense. You use it. For the outer voice, net wellness, you're born with DNA. How do you take care of it? For the expressive voice, legacy, you're born with natural gifts and talents. Do you use them and develop them? That's what that's all about. And then you go down to the middle, which is likability, which we now are calling personability. How connected are you, and easily do you connect with other people? And then the last one, which is your expressive voice do, is lifestyle. So does your lifestyle align with and support your purpose and your goals on the planet? I take the premise that all of us are born with goals, with a purpose. Unlike most people, I have memories of before birth. and receiving my assignment. And that's where my real authenticity started. And I'm always focused on doing what's next. What's the next step I need to do to get closer to getting authenticity in the world in a bigger way? That's what my purpose is, to help people understand God in new ways. Because as we know, and I'm sure you've talked about on this station, and on this station in general has talked about how everything has been manipulated and changed and lied about. But the truth is now coming out,
Right.
in all kinds of ways. And so that with that truth comes the huge job of helping our people who have totally forgotten who we are to remember who we are and to get there. When I was at Dr. Rosie Milligan's Black Writers on Tour 2 weeks ago, I've been speaking there for the last 6 or 7 years or so. And it was a conversation that I had with them about how important it is. And my theme is that silence is expensive, and the silence that we don't share is expensive. One of the guys who was doing the AI for the program showed me an AI picture he had developed, and it was a picture of two wonderfully stately Black people standing from ancient Egypt times with their crowns and their glory, and just standing over, looking over what's in front of them. And what's in front of them was a Black man. You only saw the back of him, and you saw that his pants were beneath his butt. And we went from this to this. So this is where we're at, bringing the pants up. And remember that we are the ones who really started the whole continent, the whole planet. And we have, and with the jealousy and all the other evil things that are out there to despite it, is trying very hard to eradicate us and others. But as Maya Angelou says, and still we rise, and still we rise.
We keep rising. That's right.
We keep
And
rising.
the interesting thing is that one thing that has come, I've told people about this for decades myself, the fear is actually what is making others want to undermine what we are doing. So it turns out that it's fear that makes us not want to be authentic, not face our authenticity,
Right.
not want to see what makes us us, and not want to express that in the world. So how do you help people get past the fear of being their authentic selves?
Well, part of it is conversation, as much as possible, helping them to see, helping them to raise the veil, to remove the masks. I wrote a poem when I was 28 about the mask people wear. I saw it then. And I talked about how people robot their way through life. And with no idea that 40, 50 years later, that's exactly what we'd be doing. Because people are like robots. They don't even want to think to themselves. One of the things that shocked me most in this industry of speaking when I had my bureau is how many times I was told by the pros in the industry that, Norma, when you're on stage, you tell them what to do. They just want to be told what to do. And I just rejected that thought, but it is true. Most people don't want to, they don't want to think. They're not taught to think. And they're being fed food and ideas and other things that diminish their thinking. And so they're thinking less and less. The critical thinking is not even taught and even considered. It's just the robotic, to employ you so you'll be a robot on the job. That's what the entire, you see, the older you get, the more you see these things. That's really true. If young people hear old people talking about stuff like this, what are you talking about? That's not true. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Live long enough, you'll tell your kids the same thing. And it's becoming more and more exposed. So social media has made that possible, that we see it more and more. And it's just the depth and I don't even know what the words to say about what has been the game that's been played on us for centuries, for millenniums, for that is absolutely, someone asked me once, what's the planet all about? What's it about being here? And I just say it's the continuous battle between God and Satan. It's just in a different cloak right now. But that's how I see it. It's the same thing. So my work with authenticity that I feel I was sent here to do, as I understand it, has a lot to do with waking people up. They do wake up in my class.
Right.
They do wake up,
Right.
and they get courage to make a difference. So right now we're looking at really scaling and making it a more formalized program and really making a difference with people. Because
Hmm.
if we don't wake up, we die in our sleep. That's what's happening over and over and over.
Right. Right. And I think it's only been the last couple of generations that have been comfortable with being asleep. It seems like we've we've battled the evil that would keep us ignorant, that would keep us oppressed. We've battled that for, like you said, millennia, and certainly in the last centuries when we've been taken into hand
Mhm.
and physically taken away from Africa, physically oppressed, beaten, violated, raped, pillaged. We've we've fought that until the last couple generations. It's been the last couple generations. I don't know if it's fatigue or if they're finally putting out enough information so that we're
Brainwashed.
comfortable with capitalism. Yeah,
We're just
we're
brainwashed.
comfortable with the brainwashing, but up until a couple generations ago we were still fighting it. We're still, and there are still pockets of people now, of course, who are still fighting it and saying no, the light is just on the other side. If you allow yourself to be uncomfortable for just a little bit to get to that light, you can overcome this. But there's a level of discomfort with being authentic. We have to, there's something about, again, we get back to the fear. We have to get through that fear to realize it's okay to speak your truth, to be yourself. And so what if somebody criticizes that?
Mhm.
If somebody criticizes that, they're fighting through their own battle when
Right.
they criticize who you are authentically.
That's why one of my programs is called Disruptive Authenticity. Okay. Disrupt the
Mm,
status quo. And that's what we need to do because they're telling
yeah,
us that authenticity is being who they want us to be.
right,
That authentically, as Black people, we are beneath everybody else. That's the truth of authenticity that they would want to tell you. But when you go deeper, the truth is not that. The truth is that we are and were and have been and still are the kings and queens. As a matter of fact, the research clearly shows that every person on the planet right now comes from a Black woman in Africa 250,000 years ago.
right.
Right. And now I heard just in the last month, I don't remember where I heard it. I heard it in my ear, so I didn't read it. And it said that something about they have found they found Eve and they took it back way back before the Eve of Africa. And I don't know what they said because I probably got what, because that's not true. Because everything is from, as everything, once they learn of it,
Right, right.
whoever the they is, the powers that be, and who's they? I don't know. If I wish I did know, but they exist, and they're the ones that are pulling the strings of
Exactly.
all the presidents of everybody else. I mean, whether it's Democrat, Republican, it
Right.
doesn't matter. Some are a little more crazy than others, no question, and but it's all the same game. It's all the same game,
Hmm.
and I always say, if the people lead, the leaders will follow, but we just have to have the courage to lead and knowing that, and I'm
Right.
impressed by so many groups of Black men I see on Facebook and other sites that are organizing and getting themselves ready, are willing to take the fight because it's going
Right.
to come down to that at some point in time. That's all the way around. And the other beautiful thing that I see is how many white people are really, and others are really seeing the truth. I remember when George Floyd
Right.
incident happened, I had a white girl who was a client and she called in tears. Norma, tell me it's not true. Tell me that my people aren't doing this stuff to you. I couldn't tell her it wasn't
They've
true.
been doing it for centuries. They've been doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And,
And
and they're
this is
making it
just,
worse right now. They're trying to.
yeah. Yeah. And this is just one bit that made it into the news.
Yes, exactly.
Everything else, it goes back to Rodney King. That made it into, and that there have been a few incidents that made it into the news that were as impactful as when they first started filming the civil rights movement,
Right.
and people didn't believe we were as violated as we were. So now they're starting to see we really are still being as violated people. It has just, it's changed its form, it's changed its shape, but it's still happening.
Mhm.
And so it takes courage for us to step up into our own authenticity. And as you said, your gift was to share the authenticity. That was what part of your purpose. Each one of us has our own specific gift when we come.
Right.
And
Right.
it may be to speak, it may be to write, it may be to just tap people quietly on the shoulder and say, that's not acceptable. It may be to take care of children. Whatever it is, it takes a lot of courage sometimes to walk away from a job that's being, that's killing us,
Right.
literally.
And that we
Because,
hate.
I don't, exactly. And we don't even necessarily know we hate it. It's just there's a statistic that shows that the most heart attacks take place Monday mornings between 4 and 6 a.m.
Mm.
Why?
Yeah,
Because
I
they
gotta go
don't
there
want to go
again.
to work. Yeah.
They say his
It's like,
job is JOB, jumping out of bed and just over broke.
exactly. That's crazy. And
No security in
we're
life.
thinking we buy into the capitalism that teaches us, like you were saying, to accept what they say is our authentic self
Right.
instead of what we discovering what our authentic self actually is.
Mhm. Well,
Now we need to take a break.
okay.
Oh, go ahead. You have another thought
No, I
before we
just
go
want
to
to
break?
challenge people to live, to be authentic. People worry about, you have a choice in life. You take a job or you go on your own. A job has the security of a check,
Hmm.
when your own does not. The job has a guarantee to take most of your time. A personal does not. And most of us want freedom anyway. We don't realize how locked in we are when we get in a job. So I challenge any one of you that are thinking
Right.
about how much you hate that job and how much you want your freedom, uh, and you have an idea in your head to do it. What I learned, I stepped out on my own at 28 to 35 is when I really stepped out. And I haven't never missed a car payment, never missed a mortgage payment, you know. And if the courts told me, Miss Hollis, please tell me how you have survived the last 10 years, I couldn't tell them. All I know is the money always came. And then I finally
Yeah.
realized, well, if I spend it on what I need, more's going to come. Sure enough, it did. So don't let the money fear you. Don't let that be the reason that you don't do it. Be wise about it. But
Right.
yeah,
Exactly. And develop a plan, but we it gets to the point where if we're going to be our authentic selves, we have to do that. My father used to tell me all the time, you need to get a secure job. You need to, and his
the
thing
government
was, at
job.
first it was to join the right. That's it. He wanted, at first he wanted me to join the military.
Oh, okay.
Then when I got started getting a little too old for that, go get a good government job. But I had a friend who was in the military, and this was right at the time she became a captain, and then they laid off some officers. I said, Daddy, see, there is nothing
Mhm.
secure in this world. They're laying off officers from the military, which is supposed to be one of the most secure places you could ever get
Mhm.
a job. So if that is insecure, is not secure, then we may as well jump out and do the thing that we feel is part of our authentic selves to do.
That's right. That's what
Okay,
it
but
is.
we're gonna come back to that. And when we come back after the break, I want to talk about authenticity as a business strategy,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
that just
Got your
turns me
attention,
on
huh?
right there. Yeah. So after this break, we'll come back. Thank
All
you.
right. All right.
Reverend J is here to bring some light, with guests of wisdom and a pure delight. Maat's feather guides us home, truth and balance we have known. Justice held in open hands, harmony across these lands. Stars align in sacred dance, life in Egypt's grand expanse. Ma'at divine in every sign, heart is light in pure delight. Ma'at divine, our sacred line, feather white, guiding light. Lessons from the days of old, in our balanced hearts unfold. Weigh the soul before the gate, love and truth shall seal our fate. Ancient temples rise and stand, echoes of a timeless land. Goddess with the feather fine, in her grace we seek her sign. Ma'at divine in every sign, heart is light in pure delight. Ma'at divine, our sacred line, feather white, guiding light.
Thank you, family. Welcome back. We are with my guest, Norma Hollis, who is the godmother of authenticity. We hear about it a lot lately, but she has been doing this authenticity thing for over 30 years. Welcome back, Norma Hollis.
Thank you, Reverend Jaquetta.
Now, when we want to talk about authenticity as a business strategy, for years, I ignored my business skill and thought I didn't want to include that in the work I do with people. But it has come back on me with a vengeance lately. It said, yo, you're going to teach this. So a course unfolded in my head. And when I heard that you're actually using authenticity as a business strategy, I said, okay, something I need to know. Talk to me, sister.
Well, the key word around that has to do with alignment, with things being in alignment. So when we work on this, we first give people the authenticity assessment that I just talked about a little earlier. So it's 9 questions that are part of, based on the authenticity grid that I discussed. And sometimes just the way the questions are asked helps people to really gain a lot of self-awareness. When they finish that, and they schedule a one-on-one with us, that's where it gets interesting. Because then one of my advisors, myself or one of our advisors, will give you a interpretation of your scores. And through that, we'll talk to you about where your strengths are in those 9 dimensions and where you're vulnerable. And we're going to focus in the conversation on your vulnerability and the cost of your vulnerability, what it costs in your business. Because no matter how you look at it, if you are in business, the business is a reflection of you in one way or another, unless you just don't work on it at all. But most of us as entrepreneurs or business owners or coaches or healers or whatever, that's what we do. It's our business. We're practitioners, in that business generally, and oftentimes it's only us. So what we want to do, we're going to find out, first of all, where you're vulnerable on the authenticity grid. And then we want to ask you where you're having trouble in your business. So where's your biggest challenge in your business? And then we're going to look at the relationship between your vulnerability and that part where you are low in your business and see where that where that's a message for us, because it's probably where you're out of alignment. It's probably where you're having issues and challenges. I'll give you an example of myself. I developed a hole in my eardrum, and you've heard about it, I'm sure, Jaquetta, in my right ear when I was 8 years old. And that caused me to have 40 years of antibiotics. It caused me to listen more carefully to spirit, which is why I was able to write that program. It also caused me to have 55 years of ear infections. So health, which is on the think part of your outer voice, what your net wellness, is an important part of authenticity, because how can you be authentic if you're not feeling well? So I moved to, as I mentioned, I moved to Detroit the fourth quarter of last year, and I was sick up until the end of March of this year. That included three times in the hospital and a 5-day hospital stay. And the 5-day hospital stay was to give me an antibiotic by IV intravenously, because I had had 7 years of a bladder infection. And bladder infections in elderly people, which I am called elderly, cause some confusion. But my HMO in California only treated it with pills. But here in Detroit, they treated it with an IV for 5 days. And by the 1st of April, I felt like I have never, ever, ever felt before. Now, I've talked about net wellness when I talk about, in groups about my surgery. I have had 15 surgeries, stuff like that I talk about. But nothing is as profound as how my net wellness was my vulnerability and was impacting my business. Because I did not, when I counted the numbers, my body has been in infection for 62 years of my life. And particularly in the last 2 years, when I was just dropping back and back. I even brought someone in for a year or two as a Band-Aid, and she didn't Band-Aid anything. She didn't help at all. But I wasn't strong enough, and I didn't know what was going on. I adapted gradually, year to year to year, to my body deteriorating and the infection broadening, but I'm not aware of this. But when they use that IV intravenously to kill the bacteria that was invading my body, all of a sudden, I'm a new person. I have never felt this good that I can remember. Maybe before I was 8 years old and took the first antibiotics, but I didn't know they were lingering in my body like they are. So these are things we don't know.
Yeah.
So that's why when we do this, my business now, and it's only been a month since I've got this clarity and this great energy, I'm all of a sudden excited again, because I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't have any more enthusiasm for it. It's, I just not there.
Wow.
And, but no, there's subtle things sometimes, but we're going to probe. So it's a business strategy, because from a business side and a personal side, if I improve my health and the other things that are related to that, then my business is going stronger. And just in the last month, I have got a new plan, and I just expanded it just a couple of days ago. And I've delegated some of my work I'm doing to other people. I'm identifying what else I need to bring on. I made some financial decisions that gave me more cash flow and gave me the money to actually scale my business. I mean, these are things that I had been toying with for the last few years, but never took action on, because I just wasn't healthy. I just didn't know. So that's what I mean by
Right.
a business strategy. So it's a strategy that keeps you connected to the stronger part of yourself, to your strengths. So how are your strengths showing up in your business? How are your vulnerabilities showing up in your business? Like my strength in my business, I'm a trainer. I love to train people. I don't like the business side. So, that's all. So we discuss all of that. And I also teach people to do this, especially coaches in their own business. So, it just makes a different change. It's a change of attitude, a change of success, a change of income, and all the things that we need and want to see in our business. So that's when you take it as a business strategy. And I know your next question has to do with a life management tool. So it's kind of the same thing. So when you look at your scores on the grid, same thing. Where are your strengths and where are your vulnerabilities? And how are your vulnerabilities impacting your family? How are they impacting you? What about your children? What do you know about child development? I'm here in Vegas with my 21-month-old granddaughter and my 2-week-old grandson. And most of my time has been spent with a little girl who's 21 months. And I'm looking at my early childhood, and I'm looking at how, she doesn't really have a schedule yet, and she doesn't go to bed on time. There's no time to go to bed. She can be up around 11 o'clock. And these are not healthy things those are vulnerabilities that will cause her to be vulnerable when she gets older. Not enough sleep means your body's not
Right.
growing effectively and your brain is not growing effectively. So it's kind of the same thing. It's looking at a deeper level about what are the vulnerabilities that you're dealing with. What are your challenges, fears, and where are you vulnerable in these energies? Because these are energies that when they are balanced and harmonizing and working together, your life is so much smoother. And if you
It
don't like
really
your work,
is.
you're not in harmony no matter how you look at it because you spend too many
Mhm.
hours there. And then so that's why I don't watch the news anymore. When I moved, I removed my news station. So I just get it from friends and
Mhm.
from excerpts I see here and there. Because if I watch the
Right.
news, I have to take some time and change my thinking. Because that news will make me
Right.
fearful. Well, guess what? The stock market's going to crash in 2 weeks, and the war is going to happen, and this and that and that and this. And oh my gosh, I'm
Right.
thinking, what do I need to do?
Right.
Oh, I'm getting scared now. I'm not going to do that because I know I've got an alignment with my
Right.
creator, with God, and I'm doing what I'm asked to do. And I haven't had to worry about a payment. When I learned not to worry, it really worked a lot better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I got proof.
Hmm.
And my proof is your proof because we're all
Right.
humans. If we just do the work and have the belief, it's the same universal principles. So I
Right.
encourage you to, you look at your alignment. Look at your right hand and left hand. Look at your inner voice and your outer voice. Are they going in the same direction? Look at what you're thinking and what you're doing.
Right.
Are they aligned, going in the same direction, both for yourself and your business or your job? And if it's not in alignment, that could be the source of some of your discomfort, of some of your health issues, of some of the things that aren't
Hmm.
working right in your life. And it takes a tweak. You may not know what to tweak. That's what I'm for. But you know you need to tweak something.
Right.
So, that's
Exactly.
that's authenticity as a business strategy and a life management tool. And when you take my classes and get to know more, I show you how to use the grid as a coaching tool. Because once you know where you're vulnerable, I went to Barbados once and I spoke. And when I got back, my host told me that he was upset with me, and he never really identified. I had to figure out what it was, but it was in that likability, personability quadrant, and I knew what to do on the grid to fix that, and so I did. And I've used that grid many times to fix what's failing in me. Like one time when I finished writing it. And I realized, God, I've been isolated now for 5 years. I need to get out the house, at least. And so I joined a few groups, So, but the grid helped me to find
Hmm.
the answer to what I needed to do. So it's a powerful tool that I take credit only for
Hmm.
receiving it and getting it out there. But it wasn't exactly my
Right.
consumption. I was working in with my multi-dimensional partners, so we got it done. So
Yeah. Yep. 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 And see, that's the interesting thing about the work you do, even though you never push the spiritual part of it. When you talk, it's clear that there is a spiritual aspect to it, the spiritual component. And when you were talking about the hole in your ear, we talked about this before years ago.
yes.
What is the correlation between the hole in your ear and your hearing from spirit? What
Well,
is that correlation?
that goes back to when I was 9 years old. First of all, the infection could only be treated by putting a solution in my ear. And that solution felt like acid on the inside of my head. It
Mm.
was so, so painful. And I had to go back and have it done again and again. I never had that pain. I had that pain about 3 years ago. And I said, I dealt with this at age 8. Golly gee, that's amazing. But the pain came then I had earaches for 2 years. Really, like it's like God put his fingernail in my ear and wouldn't let it go. And pills and drops and shops wouldn't work. So I'm 9 and I'm in Buffalo, New York, my mother's home, and the earache came. And first thing I said is, will you guys call a woman doctor? Because these men can't help me. So they did that, but that didn't help either. Yeah, I was that wise to say that at that age. And then my mother said, call Papa. And Papa is her father, who was a Baptist minister. So Grandpa came and took me to the bedroom and had me to lay down on the bed. And as he said, I can stop your pain, but I have to ask you something first. He said, God would not have given you this pain, this amount of pain, if he didn't have something important for you to do. And will you do it? And I thought for a minute and I said, I'll do it, but can I ask God something? He said, what's that? I said, can I ask God for my training for what I'm supposed to do by the age 30 so I can have a life of my own? He chuckled
Look
just a
at you
second.
with all
That's
that
all.
wisdom,
I
sister.
came with it.
Yes.
Like I said, I came with it, you know. So that's what I
Yes.
asked. That's what I asked him, you know. That's what he asked me, and that's what I asked. So he prayed over my ear, and pain went away. And that's last time I had that level of pain. So with that, my personality changed. Prior to having the ear problems, you know, I was a really happy-go-lucky, the extroverted side of myself that you see and that I share with the world is who I have been before age 8, before the ear thing. And I remember going to school. I went to the hospital on a Friday, and the doctor put the stuff in my ear on a Saturday. And when I went to school on a Monday, Edward Cohen, if I ever run into him again one day, he said to me, "You've changed. The hospital changed you," because it did. Because I got quiet.
Mhm.
Uh, I do think that that's when I began hearing more, because that was the age or the time when walking to school, I heard the voices start speaking to me. And what I said to the
And
voices, I said,
this is after Grandpa prayed for you
I don't know. I don't know if it's
or
before. It
before.
was after
Okay.
the ear pain. It was somewhere in that time.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly.
Okay.
But they
Okay.
started talking to me, and I said to them, if you're the voice I should listen to, then prove it to me. And let somebody walk by my path in the next week with red socks on. And let someone else mention the word elephant in a conversation. And I was attentive. Red socks, because I had a girlfriend that says red socks make her itch. That's all I thought about. Elephant, because I don't know. I just said, I got to have something else. Got to be something different. Well, elephant's kind of different. Who's going to see an elephant, you know? Hear an elephant. So the week went on, and eventually somebody walked by with red socks, and somebody mentioned the word elephant. And then the next few weeks, I kept asking for different things. And about the 5th week, they said, well, do you believe us now? And I said, yes. And the power of that goes a few decades forward. One Thanksgiving, a Toastmaster guy came by my house and he had on red socks. And I said, oh, okay. Then if what I'm thinking about, if that's a clue, then I'll hear the word elephant in a week. Well, I heard it on Family Feud once. I said, but that's not personal. You know, it might work, but and then one of my friends, went to her event the following Thursday, and part of her presentation was how elephants, if you tie their tail and put a stake in the ground, they won't go any further than in that circle. I said, well, there it is, confirmation. But the
Right.
real kicker, Jaquetta,
Mhm.
was when Robert, my husband, before he passed, brought me a gift. He said he was walking, I don't know wherever he was, but he said that this gift was calling his name and telling him to get it for me. And he could not ignore it. He had to get it. And when he gave it to me, I wasn't in the mindset, so I didn't see it. But in June of 2019, I was given an event, and I have this basket of orange things. Orange is my branding color. And I was looking for my orange things. What can I take with me for this event? And when I saw it, I said, oh my gosh,
It was not an orange elephant.
with red socks. Okay. If I was home, I would show it to you. It's an orange
Oh,
elephant with red
stop.
socks. I kid you not.
Stop it.
And that's how many decades later? I mean, and he wasn't going to buy
Wow.
that. That's cute and buy for Norma. It's the voice that said to him, get this for Norma. And don't leave until you do. And that's the story.
Wow.
And I didn't get it right there because we're not always in that spiritual mindset. And they're trying to take away the pineal gland, they're trying to
Right.
calcify it, yada, 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 yada. But eventually it came back. And oh, that's right.
Exactly.
Look at this. Look at this. So, but that's how it works. But
Wow.
we don't pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
We just go day to day, jumping out of bed
Right.
and just out of broke, trying to find some more money. But we're not listening. God's always talking in God language. So have you
Always.
identified your God language?
And that one of my key words, whenever I post something on Facebook, I say, pay attention.
Pay
We
attention.
need to be paying attention because
Listen.
it's always coming to us. It's always coming to us.
In so many
And if
ways.
we're paying attention, we can put it together.
Yes.
But we have to be aware that there are so many distractions. Fear is the major distraction, but there are so many distractions out here. We have to distance ourselves from, like you said, stop watching the news, stop paying attention to all this stuff coming at us, because their whole plan is to get us distracted and away from our spirituality. This is
Exactly.
who we naturally are.
Naturally.
Like you said, that pineal gland is constantly tuning in, but it's tuning into whatever we have in front of us. If
Mhm.
we tune into the fear, that's what magnifies. And I used to work with Richard King. I have to say this very quickly, but I used to work with Dr. Richard King in LA, and he was explaining that the pineal gland attracts and it makes our melanin attract to it. Whatever we are exposed to, it attracts and magnifies it.
Mhm.
So for people who have less melanin, that's why if we have rhythm, we have a lot of it. If we have fear, we have a lot of it. If we whatever we have, we do everything to the most. That's just how we operate because of our pineal gland. So we have to be very aware of what we allow ourselves to be exposed to.
Right.
We have to pay attention. Now, I have to have you come back because we're running out of time.
I want to mention one other thing before I go, and I'll be happy to come back, but I wanted to mention you talked about timing. I have changed to divine timing versus deadlines.
Ashe.
And that's what I say other people.
Yeah, I never use
That's divine
deadline.
timing.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. It's a mindset too.
Ashe.
Wait for God to
And
give you
I use
timing.
hmm
Wait for God's timing. Don't try to always
exactly.
put it in the man's timing. And if you're working on too many deadlines, you gotta switch up because that takes you way off path. Way off path. Yeah.
Right. And a deadline used to be where I don't know how many people saw the movie Life, but they didn't have walls around their prison. You
Mm.
crossed that line and they would shoot you. That was the dead line. So that's why I stopped using that. I said, okay, we don't need that anymore. I used due dates when I was working at the phone company. So due date is what I use. But I love divine timing even more.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is.
So I want to thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Exactly, because that's when it's going to happen anyway in divine timing,
No matter
whether
how
we
much we
set a
push
due
and
date
pull
or
or
not.
complain, that's it. That's so true.
Exactly. So tell people how they can reach you to join your program.
Well, I would invite you to take the authenticity assessment, authenticityassessment.com. And when you take that, it's just 9 questions, it's complimentary. You will get an email with an invitation to schedule a one-on-one with me. And it'll be complimentary. If Jaquetta sent you, then it's complimentary. And I will interpret your scores and help you see your strengths and your vulnerabilities and how we can work with it, how I can help you. I can refer you somewhere. I can tell you what we have going on. I'm here to really help because the more people that are authentic in the world, the better the world gets. Because if you get authentic, the people around you are going to get authentic, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So authenticityassessment.com and take the assessment. It is complimentary. And then set up a time to talk. No charge. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Ashe, Ashe. Thank you so much, Norma. And I encourage our family. We're having our Holistic Health Expo on June 13th in Tuskegee. If you're anywhere in the area, go to Reverend J's selfcarestation.com or Healing House at the word at peaceplace.com. And we have the information about who's going to be there, how to register to come, and we look forward to seeing you in June. And until we do, I encourage you to be peaceful, productive, and empowered. Shem Hotep.
Let's talk about health. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
This is a long way around. You there, Jamal?
All righty, we are off the air. Yeah, I'm here. I'm just still pushing buttons.
Oh, okay.
Trying to get this
Okay.
under control over here. That was excellent.
Good.
Well, thank you. Sister Norma knows how to rock that thing. Been doing this for a long time. I'm glad to get that information out.
Cool. Yes, thank you. That's my job now. Get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out.
And
Jigsaw
next year
puzzle
we're
is-
gonna have you at the expo.
When is that?
It'll probably, let me see, this year is June 13th, so it'll probably be June 12th in of 2027. That's our 5-year anniversary.
Oh,
So I plan to do something big. We're just gonna have to figure out how we can get the now I didn't know, see, this is something just found out. I didn't know you hooked the rugs yourself. It would
yeah.
be magnificent if you could have shown a picture of your Jinyami, the rug. You did that one yourself?
The big one, I have it on my wall. It's like 5 by 7 feet. It's huge. It's on my,
Yeah.
It's on my wall. It's on my wall at home.
Because
I'm
you've
not
had that
home.
one a long time.
Yeah, it took me a year to make it. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, we can do that next time for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, surely.
Yeah.
Surely.
That would be marvelous, marvelous.
And maybe I can bring my
All right, my
labyrinth next year.
darling.
I want to bring my labyrinth next year. If you're coming.
Yeah.
We talk about that.
Yeah,
We'll talk
we're gonna
about
have to figure out, we're gonna have to work on the cost to get that done.
yes.
That would be a whole other aspect to the expo. Yay.
Yes, I miss doing my
Okay.
labyrinth. So yeah, it'd be great.
Start
Yeah.
budgeting it now.
Yeah, start budgeting. That's
Okay.
right. All right, my dear. Thank you. It's been great. I look forward to the next round. And
All
Jamel,
right. I'm
good to
looking
hear from,
forward
good to hear
to
your
it too.
voice. No, you're
Good to
doing,
hear from you too, Norma. Yeah, it has been a while.
yes, it's been a while, but it's good to know you're doing 27 years. It's been at least 27 years. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a
I
while.
know.
Been a while. Still kicking. Let's keep on kicking. We got a lot to kick up.
Oh yeah, some dust too.
Definitely.
Some dust too. Yeah, the dust gonna settle. Yep.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'll
Take
see you next
care.
time.
Thank you, Norma. Be
All right.
well.
And you as well, my dear. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Peace. All right, Jamal, we done?
We
I
are.
appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you. You're doing a great job. Great information. Just to let you know,
Thank
your
you.
programs, they tend to run after like you do it live like today. Before you come back
Mhm.
around and do another live one or the following week, it runs about 8 times.
Really?
Yeah. I always tell people it's
Is
not.
there a demand for them, or you just fill in
Well, if
space
someone
with them?
asks me,
How's
like
that?
sometimes people ask me to because they may have tuned in like 20 minutes late or whatever. And they say, can run that
Uh-huh.
again? Then I'll put it, or I'll try to tell them when it's going to run again. I wish I could put it on a schedule, but I can't yet because I got these other programs. And so it's kind of hard to create another like designated day.
Yeah,
But
I
I put
got
them
you.
in random, and then on the
Yeah.
weekend, sometimes I'm not around. I just live my life on the weekend. Um,
You cheating?
no, that's not cheating. It's called living my life.
That's
know?
good though.
Yeah, no. I cut. Believe me,
Exactly, like
I
Norma was
cut
saying,
this
you go and
all
do
off.
being your authentic self on the
There
weekends.
you go. I cut it all off so I can. I might just want to run around the house in my pajamas and not get out of my pajamas all day. Who knows? But I have to cut it all off so I can
I heard
maintain my
that.
own sanity. You know, you know,
Exactly.
just to put this in your ear, there is a huge topic.
Mhm.
Black women being laid off by the government in droves. Woo! That's a huge one.
Yeah.
And we will all know someone. I mean, we're talking about now 750,000. This is under Trump, obviously. We're going to all know somebody, if not multiple people, that this is affecting. And
Personally.
it's going to
Yeah.
affect families, not just the
Yeah.
women per se, families.
And those are the women that need to go see Norma so they can get this stuff set up. So they can start their own businesses and be on their own, because they need to get paid by us. That was one of my complaints about the museums and stuff that got shut down that had
Mhm.
our stuff in it.
Mhm.
That it was because it was set up by government money. Stop going to them for their money so that they can stop impacting us. That
Well,
we
I don't
gotta
think. Yeah, I
pay
hear
for our own
you.
stuff.
I'm with you 100% on that because I don't trust the government. I mean, I don't trust Caucasians. Period. So, at
Yeah,
some
truth be
point,
told.
I mean, at some point, we should expect that if that's our lifeline, and it's coming from your historic opposition, it will be eventually cut off. At some point, it's going to get
Right.
cut off. Okay.
Right.
Times get tough. They can't. I saw the video clip you put in the chat room with the sister talking about the 4 areas of that we really need to take a look at in terms of revolution. And she said one of the
Mhm.
things is that white people don't endure pain like other people do. So when they get hit, when they start to feel a little uncomfortable, they get hysterical, and in their
Mhm.
hysterics, anything can happen, including a violent
Right.
response. So
Right.
if they start to feel uncomfortable financially, they'll take your job and give it to them. Whatever you were
Right.
doing is like, well, I need to be doing that because it's paying. And I think a lot of that is what's happening,
Exactly.
because the cutoffs almost 750,000 primarily, government workers and Black women in particular. That's a
crazy.
tremendous amount of people.
That's a that's the population of some cities.
And what are
That's a
people
lot of people.
doing to replace that income in a down economy? That's a whole nother issue. Manufacturing is down. Everybody can't be in a service position. So what do you do? This is a huge question that really has to be examined. Um, I don't
Because
know.
everybody can't do like what's her name who got fired from the news station? Our girl. She has very
Oh, Joy
short hair.
Reid. Joy
Yeah,
Reid.
yeah. Everybody can't turn around, just start a channel, and then financial support follows her.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's
or even
fantastic.
Don
But
Lemon. Even Don Lemon.
yeah,
These people already had a national and somewhat international presence. So for them to change
exactly.
platforms and venues it's a big deal, but it's not as impactful for them as it's going to be for a lot of people that are working a government job.
Hmm.
AI. I mean, computers are replacing
Yeah,
some jobs.
yeah, they're displacing a lot of folks.
One of my ex-girlfriends was making 100 grand when 100 grand was a real 100 grand. But her job was basically processing data. So she got laid off eventually because they don't need a physical
Yeah,
person to do it.
yeah,
They can do that with software and apps. She got a house note. She's got senior parents that she's taking care of. She did not reach the retirement age per se, where that um, pension was going to kick in. It's a disaster. That's really what it is, a disaster. And she's
we're gonna have
one of many.
to develop some plans. We got to develop a plan.
Well, it's hard to do it in it's yes, it has to happen. I agree with you. But what we have become dependent on is being dismantled and or it's not effective. I mean, even Norma mentioned capitalism, and your previous guest,
Hmm.
I mean, mentioned capitalism as being a failed economic strategy and it's coming apart. But that's what we have depended on. That's what we as Black people in the United States have depended on. So what happens when
We have to de-educate ourselves from
yes,
that.
quickly, so just throwing it out there because it's a huge issue, and I don't think a lot of people, enough people, are addressing it. And
Well,
definitely,
if you know of anybody specifically who has been laid off or even who left intentionally because she saw the writing on the wall, or it was she, let me know, and I'll be glad to put her on the show. Because even when they're leaving because they know they gonna get me. They gonna get me gone. They, because if you happen to have an exit strategy, that's beautiful. Talk about the exit strategy, but regardless of how they left or why they left, let me know. I'll gladly interview her.
I'll let you know. But like I said, I have not seen or heard a lot of people even entertaining this, even though we all know it's happening. And I'm not sure if that's our own collective denial. Um, I saw a video of a lady who got laid off. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you. But
Hmm.
hey, she was in deep denial. I know she needs to get some counseling because her whole thing was, if I get up and act like I'm going to work, even though I don't have a job, even though my house is about to go into foreclosure, but if I act like I was doing what I was doing before, where money was coming in, um, she's trying to will it into existence. Okay, but she's about to lose a house.
Is she doing that while she's looking for work, or is she doing
This
that
is another thing.
while?
She said that, you know, when she got laid off, she had put in about 100 applications, no responses.
I might have seen that. You
It
might have
was on
sent me a
YouTube.
link to that already. Because I think I saw that. Yes, she was crying because
Oh, it
she
was
had put in all
heartbreaking.
these. Yeah, okay, yeah. And if it wasn't her, there's I'm sure there's more than one who has gone on online saying, "What the hell?"
Mm-hmm.
and cried it out because
Mm-hmm.
this is a different it's a different situation we're living in. And I'm just so thankful I'm in the South and I'm with people who think differently. They're already saying, well, capitalism doesn't work, so we're gonna have to come up with some kind of bartering system. Okay, I'm right with
You
them.
got to
I'm
have
with them.
something to barter.
Got my food growing in my garden.
Mm-hmm. You got to
Yeah.
have something to barter, you know, and unfortunately, a lot of people that have government jobs, that was their main source of income. They didn't do anything else. They were in a routine, you know, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 10 to 6, or whatever it was. You were in a routine. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, you had a whole lot of stuff on auto pay from that check. Um,
Yeah.
and you just put on blinders, set your alarm clock, and got up and went to work. That was it. So
Yeah.
developing an outside venture, outside secondary source of income really wasn't a thought. You had your, you know, vacation time, you know, 401k.
Hmm.
You thought it was all good. It was going to go on forever. But what, you know, persons like myself who will be called crazy for screaming and hollering about this stuff years ago, I'll look at that and say, you got to look at the bigger picture, which includes looking at global politics, the overall net or the national economy, $42 trillion in debt that they admit to. You ain't safe. Ain't nobody safe. And no one is safe
Hmm.
in this. No
Hmm.
one, you
Not
know.
at all.
So
Not at all.
being able to plan and, you know, offset something that is unraveling, it's hard because we don't want to look at it. It's, you know, it becomes negative
Sorry.
energy because
Yeah.
but hey, okay, by bringing up the obvious, if it's negative energy, okay, now we're in it. So we're in that negative energy, if you want to call it that. But this, whew, I don't want to get, if I get too into it too deep, you know, because even on a metaphysical spiritual level, did this have to happen like this? I would say, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Because we're transitioning from an age of pretty much negativity and what some call iron age, moving into an age of ascended, more enlightened energy. So we have to let go of that old stuff, which may include that
Right.
old job, that old
Right.
mundane job. A lot of those people going to those government jobs hated it. They hated the routine, they hated the task, but they did it because they wanted the financial outcome. Okay, a lot of those people were ill and sick, you know. Oh, that's another thing. They had their